Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Conversation. I'm your host, Debelo Motwane. I'm an attorney by profession and the founder of a platform called Sister in Law, which is a platform dedicated to empowering women through legal education. On today's episodes, I'm with y'all's fave, Yvonne Princess Shabangu, who is an in-house counsel at LegalWise and also the founder of Employment Wednesdays, which is a platform dedicated to empowering the youth through assisting them find employment. Yvonne Princess Shabangu, welcome to the show. Yeah, I mean, you insist on us calling you by your middle name. How many people use their middle name out there?
You know, it's so funny. I posted a status this morning and I said, remember my name, I'm Yvonne Shabangu. Somebody called me out.
Princess!
You've made us understand that you're Yvonne Princess Shabangu. Now you're not putting in Princess.
It's such a mouthful. It literally took a minute for me to say your full name. Please, just
guys, you guys
give us a break.
Olympics is Employment Wednesday here.
Sure, Yvonne. Okay, now, the sister-in-law platform, you're not necessarily new to the platform, but let's rather use this opportunity to speak to the people who don't know you, who haven't been following your journey.
Sure.
So just start from the beginning. Who is Yvonne Princess Shabangu? Where were you born and raised? Raised by mom, gran, uncle? Can you just tell us a little bit about your childhood and then share like a fond childhood memory with us?
So originally, I'm from Zim, right? So then my parents, because of opportunities, traveled to SA and then I was raised in South Africa, right? But there was a period of my life, I think 6 years of my life, I was in Zim and I really enjoyed it so much. I stayed with my grandmom, our helper, and I think 6 other cousins of mine. And then just before I go into me, I just want to go into my most fond memory as a child, right? My mom
Your
had
face
this
is
thing.
even lighting up.
My mom had this thing whereby she worked she was in SA already. I was just staying in Zim with my cousins and everything, right? So she would buy us same Christmas clothes, right? All of us, guys. Imagine Kariki uniform. Like all 5 of us would have the same clothing, right? I remember, so in as much as we had enough, we didn't have the luxury of having firecrackers and stuff like that. So I remember this one Christmas season, right? My mom bought us this clothes. There was pink pants and white peplum tops. And then we're so excited. So my mom always made sure that we'd have like Christmas Eve clothes, Christmas clothes, and Boxing Day clothes, and then New Year's Eve and New Year's and the day after, right?
Yeah.
So on the 31st, we didn't have firecrackers. So what did we do? We took, my grandmother was livid. We went to the kitchen because we wanted to be relevant. I took a pan, one of my grandmom's favorite pans. One of my cousins took a teapot and the other took our letterbox. You know,
it's already
like
just sounding like a mess.
And then we went outside, we banged them at midnight. It was so cool. We got in trouble, but it was so cool. And it made me realize that you don't need much. What you have is enough. Like, I think I didn't always have everything figured out, but I've always had the best. Like, I wouldn't go back and change how my life was because I had enough love. I was seen, I was heard, I was held. So, yeah, like, my childhood was great. There's no glamba, you know, sometimes, but at least I was doing it with people I loved.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, like I remember this one time, like right now I love popcorns, ne? But there was a time I didn't eat them at all because it got to a point where by growing up would eat popcorns all the time. And I'm a queen. Okay, in Zim,
What's the popcorn called? The smoked popcorn.
The ones that you buy the seeds.
The one
and
that
then
looks like my keep.
Yes, I'm a scoppers.
Yeah, it looks like scoppers, but it's all white.
Amaputi.
Yes,
we
I love that.
Yes, I also love that. We had amaputi, right? But also would have popcorns, and then would have amapans, ne? So in Zim, I work queen. Like they take, it's like pancakes, but it's not pancakes. So they put yeast for it to rise
a
up,
bit,
and then it doesn't look so thin. So we'd have that, and it just got to a point where I just couldn't. Like one of my cousins doesn't drink tea with milk because we had that so much. I love so much coffee. Like you always see, I drink a lot of coffee. It's because of how I grew up. My granny used to drink 12 o'clock, 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But yeah, it was really great. I had a good childhood. I moved to Joburg. So in Zim, the education system is tough. I judge every single person that comes from Zim and doesn't excel when they come to SA. Like it's wild. I'm just like, what's wrong? You know? So I moved to SA. I think that was in grade 2. And then when I get here, I went to a very good school as well. And then back in Zim, I was a bit, I don't want to say timid, right? But because of how we're raised, like when you're raised by a grand, you know how it's important how you laugh. It's important how
like
you
humble.
Yes, how you sit,
I get it.
how you present yourself to the public. So I was a bit timid. And then when I get to Joburg, like there's more freedom. Like I don't even know how to explain. In Zeeman, there's too much rules. Strictness.
Strict.
Yes. When I get to Joburg, like kids are themselves. Kids answer teachers. Kids, like, not even from a bad place, but they're allowed to express who they are. And I get in touch with self. Now I'm seen as this kid who talks too much. My parents are always called at school. My mom was like, what's going on? And then my teacher's like, this is not even a bad thing, but we need you guys to regulate it because like Yvonne's just always speaking. And not even like I'm always speaking sense. You know, it's not even a thing of I'm a bad kid or anything like that. Then from primary, I was head girl of school. Before I got head girl in high school. In primary, I was a prefect. We went to this camp. Like, I really loved it. We went to Kualata camp. That's where they would pick leaders. I was selected. And I didn't feel like I was deserving because in general, I look quiet until you've spoken to me. Like, I'm also those people that love to sit at the back and observe until you give me a mic or an opportunity to actually speak. And then you're like, Yvonne, you actually speak this much, right? And then, okay, I go into that. I'm a leader. So leadership skills are engraved in me from a very young age. And then I go into high school. In high school, I'm first a prefect, then a deputy head girl. Then in matric, I'm a head girl. And I did so well. But I remember my English teacher, like I'd always be like... about this. He says to me, so generally, like the nature of me, I love soft. I'm not a hard worker. And if my next employer sees this, I don't know. I'm not a hard worker. And I remember one of my previous employer used to complain about it to say, you're brilliant, but the problem is you don't want to work hard. I do bare minimum and I do it well. I'm just that person, right? So my English teacher would always say, you know, the way you're doing, you're going to get a 79. You know how in matric, a distinction is an 80 and above. And he says, the way you're doing, you know English, you're good at it and all of that, but you're going to get a 79. Did I not get a 79?
Ay.
I was so hurt. And he was telling me that it's because you don't put in over
that
much
1%,
effort.
last 1%.
He's like, that one last percent could have been if you were a bit of a hard worker, right? So as time went by, I changed. When I got to university, I realized that, oh my God, you're not a star. There are stars of the stars.
Yeah.
Like you get there's people that have 90%. Like I think my highest mark is 97 from matric. It was tourism, right? And like I just felt like I was too good because I changed subjects in grade 11.
And you excelled still.
Yes, in grade 11, I went to maths lit because I saw pure maths was just giving me 50s and 60s. And now I felt like I needed to be above, right? So I moved to maths literacy. I was the only person that got a distinction in my class. And then I moved to economics. I got like a 78. Like, and it's like a thing of, I felt like a star, right? I get to university. I remember one of the lecturers said in a class full of students says, you see, you guys are full right now. In second year, it's going to be half of you. That's going to be like 600 of you. Then in third year, it's going to be like 300 of you. And then by the time you graduate, it's 190 something. And when he said that, I was like, you're bluffing. You're trying to scare us. Ne?
And then
actually, as I was fortunate that one thing about me, ne, I if there's anything I will not fail in is theory and academics. Like, I don't know if it's a gift or what, but I've always told myself, whatever happens as a student, whether it's in masters, it's in honoring, whether I'm learning a new thing, I have to pass. Even if it means getting 60 or 58, I will pass.
Mark,
Yes, you know.
But I think let's also just rewind a little bit because one of the questions before you jump into varsity is, what exposure did you have to specifically law? Like, how did you decide that when you make it to varsity, you're going to study law? Like, was it a childhood dream of yours? Did you see, someone in your family who was an attorney? Or did you watch a TV program that you really liked? I'm not sure which generation you're from. Let me see. Is it Law and Order or Sokulu and Partners? Or are you a Suits era? Like, what inspired you to study law and maybe even pursue it at the varsity you went to?
I was never going to study law. If you told me this when I was in grade 10, that I'm going to be an attorney by profession, I was going to say you're a liar. Because growing up, I can act, by the way.
No, we've seen.
I can do poetry. I'm a creative. In my mind, I wanted to be a journalist, right? I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to go into media. If journalism didn't work, I was going to go into radio, which is something that I'll still do in future. But those were my options, right? And me being, I was always top of my class, and my teacher said, there's no way you're not going to do journalism. Because also, you know how society is. We are taught, which is not a good thing, it's a misnomer, that the only degrees or options that are good enough, it's like medicine, it's being a doctor, it's being an accountant, and all of that. So my teacher was like, no. So it first started off with my principal. I was so good in accounting, hey? I was so shocked when board exams humbled me. Actually, I took it for granted because I was great in accounting and maths.
Maybe it's because it was bookkeeping, so...
So I used to balance out those books in EMS and all of that. And then my principal was like, no. My principal was our accounting teacher as well, right? She was like, you should do accounting. And I thought about it. And then my English teacher had more influence because we had a much more closer relationship. It's like, no, Yvonne, do law. Right? And then I'm like, law. And it's like, no, Yvonne, you're always standing up for people. You just want to save everybody. You want to speak for everybody. We don't ask you things. You're answering things you were not asked. Lawyers do that. So do that. And you love serving, you love helping. So do law. I'm like, okay, great, short. And even when I applied, right, I applied for LLB, and I also sort of prophesied my master's because I also applied for my master's in grade 11. I didn't know what it meant. I just saw LLM, banking law.
Okay.
So I thought it's a form of postgrad, right? And then what happens is I first get a rejection for that LLM because I don't qualify.
Yeah.
You know, but the system allows you because it thinks, wabat, anyway, is second option, right? So I get a rejection letter. I almost lost my mind. I was like, nah.
How?
I was part of Orange Carpet. I was recognized. Like, I was seen. Like, Orange Carpet is like a prestigious system of UJ that recognizes matriculants that do well. So I was like, so they, in grade 11, with your grade 11 results, they select you, you get free iPads, you get some money off your fees, and all of these things. So I was selected for that. So I'm like, they're rejecting me, Mara. I went to Orange Carpet, evening, night, and all of that in grade 11. What's happening? Then weeks pass by, and then I see that I'm selected for LLB. And then when I did my research, I'm like, oh, LLM is a postgrad, you know.
Yes.
So that's how I ended up doing law. You know, so I go into law, and like just to pick up from how our lecture told us that by the time we graduate, it's not gonna be as sweet and swift, right? I see it happen. I see people drop out, you know, and because where I come from, like my father is one of the sweetest people you can ever come across, but he makes you want to do better for yourself in how he approaches life or how he has important conversations. So when I went to university, my father said to me, I'm not going to say don't date. You can date when you get pregnant. If you get pregnant, I'm going to give you up for free. And yeah, you know, so he said, he used reverse psychology, said, if you're going to get pregnant, before you finish school and all of that, I'm going to give you up for free. And for me, it felt like, oh my goodness, like they're going to give me up for free. Then he said, I'm not going to say don't drink or anything like that, be responsible. And then he said to me, you know the standard procedure. You are known to be a kid that is doing well in their studies. If there's anything I don't expect you to fail in, is your studies. But also with me saying that, I need you to understand that what matters is giving your best shot. So if in that season 70% is your best shot, hallelujah. If 80% is the best shot, 60, 40, whatever that looks like, as long as you give it your best shot, then that's that, right? So my dad had that chat with me, and I didn't want to disappoint him. So I knew, like, I had to fight for my life, whatever that meant, however that looked like. If it meant, like, I remember my sleeping patterns were so weird. Okay, I know it's everybody, right? But they were so weird in uni because I used to study a lot. We'd go to the Tenjin, I would sleep in the AMs.
I had forgotten.
You know, all of these things are like at around about 4 a.m. with, like, I'm so grateful that I'm still friends with the people that I was friends with in first year. Like, we've seen each other grow. Would be leaving campus at 4 a.m. to go to rest and shower up and come back. People are coming in. We're leaving. So I made sure that I befriended the right people. I made sure that I put in the work that needed to be put in, right? So I go through, first year was smooth sailing and it wasn't that deep, right? No, but I got a rude awakening. One of my electives was politics, right? So my first experience of failure was politics, right? So I get a 40% in politics. That was my first 40% of my life, right? And I was like, what is this? This is an elective. It doesn't even matter to my degree, to what I want to do. And I'm getting a 40. I cried myself to sleep and I fought.
Yeah.
I got a distinction in politics by the time we're done. That was the first test.
I love
right?
it.
I went home. I was like, this is not who you are. Because I was taking things for granted, right? I felt like, I don't know. One thing about me, I'm the biggest, I can wing myself through anything. There is no concept that you can give me and I'll get a complete 0. Like if you give me a concept, trust 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. I know how
You'll
to
produce
Yes,
something.
I'll give you something to work with. So I was trying to do that in uni. Then I figured out that doesn't work. And it's a good thing it was just a test. Then after that, I worked my way up and then I got a distinction. Then second year was great. But now second year, you're coming out, you have friends, you have voices. But also during that time, I was so deep in Jolo. Like literally, I think I was so ignorant there because sometimes I'll just go in and out of campus just to attend class and also only for my study groups. So I was never participating in like sororities and all of the things that were happening, both student parties, first year parties, both freshers. I was never part of that. Like I was just in my own little bottle whereby I also understood I needed to pass. I'm always shocked at maybe it's just my voice. I never understood how people knew me in class. Some odd reason. Even now, my friends are like, when are you just known by everybody? Because I was never like that person who's everywhere. Like I would get into class just on time. Those classes that are in the morning, like at 8, and then the next one is at 5.
But then clearly, you're probably that kid that asked a lot of questions.
Not even. Like not even. I was
type,
complaining
every 5 minutes, putting up their hands.
We were
like,
complaining.
Are we gonna finish?
We were complaining about some of them, and it's so funny. Some of them were my friends. Maybe also because I was friends with the right people. But I always wonder how people knew me. Because now I would go to class, and sometimes the evening classes I wouldn't attend them. My friends would be like, where are you? Hey guys, Linozama, register and tell me what happened, So, and then that happens. And then in final year, one module that showed me flames is business, was business management or something. But it boxed me a bit, but I was like, no, I'm fighting for my life. So basically, my university, my degree time, it was great. I enjoyed it, but I also think I would have tackled it better had I been fully prepared in terms of like just knowing that just because you were great in metric, it doesn't mean it's an inheritance whereby you get to uni.
Varsity will humble you.
Yes,
Yeah.
So then I moved from that. Then in my third year, I get a rude awakening. Everybody's talking about articles. Yeah? And it's so funny because most of my friends were signed in big firms. Maybe we were just not having the right conversations.
The conversations, it was just vibes.
I think, I don't know, maybe they also got it by chance or what, but I just feel like, so third year, we're talking. I think I was talking to someone. Someone says, you guys are lucky, because you know how when you're a little, I don't want to say squad, but when you're identified with a type of group of people, someone was like to me, you guys are lucky you're already signed. I'm like, what's signing? What are you talking about? Like signed with articles. Ngati, what is articles? I to know your friend is signed at one of the big 5 firms and what. I'm like, which friend? And then the person tells me my friend, right? And then I go to my friend, I'm like, hey, but you are signed. What is signing?
What is signed? Yeah.
And then she starts explaining to me, oh friend, I got signed last year, December, when I was second year. I did work at this law firm.
Now you're also learning what work is.
Yes. I did work at this law firm, career days. Remember, I was not attending things.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if...
So guys, I hope people really see the importance of just...
being involved.
Being present in varsity and just
involved.
outside of attending lectures and coming in to write your exams. You need to be part of those... student clubs like BLA. There's just so many. I can't think of the names right now.
Be involved, right? So my friend tells me, and you see, the other thing is, I just wish institutions can actually like raise more awareness, because I feel like with career days, like they just talk about it. I'm not saying they must talk about it every minute, but I feel like it must be more loud.
So maybe the lecturers at this, at the start and at the end of the
yes, and say, guys, remember.
But they also want you to take initiative and go to the notice boards, right?
Yes.
So I know a lot of the times we only went to notice boards when it was time to check the marks for our tests. But you must go to the notice boards
just to check what's going on.
You must go to the notice boards and check what's going on in your faculty.
Yeah.
And that will also explain that, there's a career day happening on such and such a day.
So I get that rude awakening. Now I start applying for
articles.
Before articles, I started applying for work, right? And then I get work at 2 law firms. I get my first interview at one of the big firms, right? And then I'm like, yes, now I'm in the circle with my friends. We're all going big or going home and home night. Then the HR of that particular, it's an international law firm also. The HR changes. And when they changes, they disregard the previous selections. Sure. So it means like they need to redo interviews. So I'm seated there. So I go to my first interview, great, nice. I go to my second interview, great, nice. And then when I'm ready for my third interview, this person is quiet. So one thing about me now, I'll talk to people, I'll ask you questions, I'll call you, I'll make you my friend. And I think that's why I always shy away from mentorship, because I don't know, I just end up friends with people or end up like family zoning and stuff, right? So I talk to this lady. I'm like, hey, I'm still waiting for your response and blah, 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 blah. I'm just marinating her. She says, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm no longer working in that company and stuff. So please ask so and so, right? I'm confident to asking this. I call them, I ask them, hey, at such an interview, this is what happened. And then she's like, oh, no, unfortunately, you have to reapply on Leaply. I'm like, what? What's like I attended interviews and stuff. It's like, oh well, we've got a new administration and all of that, so it's unfortunate. All applications have to start.
That's horrible.
With Leaply, I could have qualified with my grades, right? But I didn't answer the question. You know how that
I don't even know what Leaply is.
Oh, Leaply is like a database that has different law firms. It's like an application portal. So big 5 firms
for
use
law
it.
firms specifically,
and insurance companies. I've seen that insurance companies
still exist.
Yes, it's still there, guys. Check Leaply out, right? So, and then with Leaply, you need to curate your answers so that they can be picked. So it's like a bot. It saves out. So if your answers are not, they don't
almost
have certain
aligned
keywords
to the job
and stuff like that,
for example,
it will automatically reject you. So the system rejects you before you even get the opportunity to interview, right?
Eish.
So then I do Leaply. Leaply kicks me out, and then I'm like, hey, all hope is lost. Then it's fine. I continue applying, and then I get VEC work in 2 law firms, and then I have a terrible accident. This is my 3rd year. I get bent on my legs. No, it's my final year. Now I'm getting interviews, and I'm getting VEC work, and then I get bent on my legs. And then when I get bent on my legs, I can't walk, and it's during exam season.
Like, so you're saying the end of 4th year?
No,
end
not
of
the
3rd
end.
year.
So I think it was June 2019.
Which is
Final year. Yes.
Sure.
So now I'm like, things are finally looking up. After the struggle of articles, now I'm getting interviews. Now I'm being seen in the industry and stuff, right? So now I get banned. So me getting banned, it means I can't go to interviews because I literally couldn't do this to my leg. So my legs had to sit like this. And like I was in excruciating pain. I don't think I've ever felt such pain in my life, and I would never wish it on anyone. So it's like, yo, guys, like being hurt on your legs is the worst thing because your legs carry your body. So if your legs can't function, the rest of your body becomes redundant. I remember in that season, all I wanted, like a lot of people around me would say, no, just like I was left with 6 months, like to finish, right?
For school, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people would say, no, just take time off. You'll come back next. I was like, never, not me. Like, not me. I will have to finish. I'd wake up every single morning and I'd cry my lungs out because of the pain. Because also I had to go to the doctor almost every single day where they would dress my wounds. So they had to remove, put Betadine and all of that, right? So it meant that my walking, even my doctor didn't recommend it. Every time she sees that I can walk, it's a miracle because she told me my nerves were bent. She told me that I may never walk again or I will limp for the rest of my life, right? So when my doctor says this to me, I had to pick a struggle. I said to God, listen, I don't know why this happened or why me, but I need to finish school.
Sure.
Like, I've come too far to not do what I'm supposed to do or to not finish what I started. So it meant that I needed to pick a type of pain. So going to interviews,
pick your struggle, basically.
yes, going to interviews was so much admin, like Uber this, that. So all the pain I had to carry, I rather had exhausted it in finishing, like in just going to classes. Because even my students, I was as a tutor, my students would be like, "Oh my God, Yvonne, don't come. Why are you still coming to tutors?" I'm like, guys, it's your job. Like, you know, when you get familiar with, and I think a lot of people say this to me.
So how were you getting around on campus?
It was painful, but I just had to.
But you were walking.
Like, I was
just,
like the slowest pace, tortoise pace.
So not even crutches could assist at that time.
No. So what was supposed to happen, she had advised that I don't walk. Not make you forced.
All
So she had
right.
advised that the wound must heal first, then I'll go to physio. But I had a deepest fear of becoming a cripple. That if I don't walk at all, because at some point I think I had forgotten how to walk in a way, because like it's like you have to learn to walk afresh. Like, you know how babies start walking, right? You guys, sorry. Yeah. So that happens, right? I'm in the season where like I'm forcing to walk. And you can imagine waking up every day and crying. That's how painful it was. Like, I had to sit on my bed. I prayed in tongues. I fasted. Like, I was just like, this needs to go away. And I'm declining interviews, not because I kiddy back, because I can't make it there, you know. I'm declining all of these things because I'm not in a good, healthy position, right? And then I pushed through. Then I think thank you so much. And then I think in my in close to final in sometime in September, October, ne? And then I get work in Cape Town.
Sure.
Right. Now I can walk, but I'm limping. Like, I limped for a very long time. Now I'm limping. And then my parents were like, so it wasn't paid. It was non-paid. I had to pay for every single thing, right?
For flights and
everything, you know. So
everything.
then I speak to my parents, even my friends. I remember one of my friends, actually, he was already signed at a big international law firm. So there was this amount that they gave them before they start their articles. I don't know, man. You could ask for a salary or something like that.
Like an advance,
yes,
a
he had
signing
money,
fee of sorts.
something like
That's
that.
interesting.
I remember then he paid for my flight ticket, right? He paid for my flight ticket. My mom paid for accommodation. Accommodation in Cape Town is expensive. I remember where I stayed, it was like 6,000 rand for the entire week. And then my dad chipped in with food, even my brother. Like, just everybody just tried to help, right? I go to Cape Town, I get VEC work, I do my VEC work. And then I think what got me that job, actually, just don't mess around and make me present anything, because I will sell you anything and I will win at it. So then we do the work. I wasn't so confident with how I did the work, right? Because you know what? And then they say we should present something. Guys, I nailed that present. You know when you feel it in your bone, where you're like, you know what? I
have a good
did it,
feeling.
you know?
Yeah.
I did that presentation. And then when I did that presentation, I think after 3 days, they told us, hey, you got an offer. You needed to start in October, right? I think this is in 2020. Actually, I think this is after my degree. It's in the year of my master's.
Okay.
Yes, that's in 2020. Then they're like, yeah, you guys can start immediately and stuff. And then I'm like, I still...
In Cape Town?
Yes, in Cape
Okay.
Town. So I get the job. They're like, you can start immediately. Then I tell them that, no, I need to... Like, I'm...
Finish your master's, finish what you started.
Yes, and then also remember it was COVID time, so our master's was technically online. Yeah, so I didn't have to be on campus. We're doing everything virtually, right? So, and then for me, like, I have a bit of separation anxiety, which is why one of the reasons why I'm very protective. So for me to enter a space, it takes a lot. For me to leave a space, it takes a lot. So I had so many reservations. I was happy I got the job, but I was like, do I really want to move? Then I say to them, no, I can't start now in October. I'll start in Jan. Right. And then they're like, okay, no, that's fine. You'll start in Jan. And said, girl is moving to Cape Town. Come back to Joburg. Family is happy. Everyone is happy. And they send me my offer letter and stuff, right? So, and then I keep on, for some odd reason, every time I had to sign the contract, I'd forget or my laptop would go off. Like, there were just little things, right? I remember the final straw, they sent me an email saying, hey, we need to do our financials. You need to sign your contract and all of that. I passed out. like I was holding my computer and then I passed out. Ne? And then when I wake up, before I sign, I go to my emails. I've gotten another offer in Joburg because I had been interviewing. I got another offer in Joburg that's way better. I'm like, yay. Then I don't have to sign that contract. I'm no longer bound. So I send them an email. Hi, guys. I'm great. I'm no longer coming to Cape Town. Right? Get this job in Parktown. It's close to home. It's comfortable. Decent salary. Everything is good. Right? I go in. 1 month. Oh, so, and then previously I had interviewed at a particular law firm, right? I think in 2020. I'd actually interviewed at Rams, right, in 2020. And then they say to me, no, you did great. We'll call you when we move to bigger spaces. We know what that means with the recruiters.
Yeah.
You're not thinking they're going to call you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then after that, I take that offer. I've forgotten about Rams. Like now I'm 2 months in, I'm getting familiar. Then I get a call from one of the new directors, right? Then she says, hey, are you still interested in the post? Are you employed? Then I say...
The Parktown one.
No, I'm working at the Parktown already. Now Rams is calling me after a year.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yes.
Remember they had promised for the Parktown phone, but I forgot about them because I thought they were lying. Because anytime a recruiter says we'll call you, just know you didn't do good enough. They don't want to disappoint you, right? So they call me. Like, hey, do you want to have a debrief or any an interview, right? I'm like, oh, okay, sharp. I'm still up. I go there and it's another director and your husband, and it wasn't even an interview. You know what they asked me? So, do you drink? I don't know if I looked at like a mum fundis. They're like, do you drink? Because we don't want problems. We don't want people judging us when we drink here.
Yo.
So, and then we had a small chat and stuff. They asked me a couple of questions and all of that. And then they're like, how much do you get paid? And then I told them. Then they're like, okay, we'll bump you up. Small sense nyana. And then after that, I'm like, oh, okay, sharp. And then they're like, okay, you can start a couple of days later. I went back. Mind you, I went to the interview during lunch.
Yo.
The way my heart was racing. Yo.
Because you're like, is this going to take an hour? Am I going to make it? Like,
I was so happy. I was so happy that it didn't take too long. It was like a brief 15-minute because I think one of them was rushing somewhere.
Yeah.
And then after that, I go back to work. And then I think as I sit down at the office, they call me. They're like, hey, when are you ready to start? I'm like, end of April. And then that other person agrees. And then I think there was a very big matter that your husband was actually doing. Then he calls like, no, you have to start next week. I'm like,
what am I going to say?
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know, then I go to my principal and then I say to her, listen, I need to resign with immediate effect. She says, what's wrong? You know how principals are, what's wrong? Is there anything we can do? And blah, blah. I'm like, no, it's for personal reasons.
Goodness.
I think there's a lot going on in my life right now. My master's, this, that. Monday, I'm starting a new job. Yeah. And then I started Go Rams. Had its
Look,
own...
it's not a bad thing because, I mean, here we are.
you know? And then it was, I moved to Rams. It was quite a breeze. There were challenges here and there. But I really enjoyed, And then from Rams, and it's so funny how, like, I always say my journey is very divinely orchestrated. I don't take any moment for granted, right?
Everything happened for a reason.
For a reason. So also in all of these things that are happening, I started Employment Wednesdays. I was just doing it on Instagram Lives where people would share their journeys and their careers, how they got there, where they are. It was just lives, right? And because during COVID, people were trying to keep busy. So we did that, right? Then, okay, fast forward also, I'm at Rams. And then I remember, like, I think yesterday I was thinking about how this is a turning point of like Employment Wednesdays or my journey in the labor space, right? I remember you were like heavily pregnant and you were supposed to do a radio interview, and then Garawa says Yvonne can do it. And that time I'm not familiar with labor laws or anything like that, and I didn't say to him I'm a podcaster or I'm a YouTuber. I just felt like he just saw potential in how maybe I articulated myself, and then he's like, okay, let's go for it. Says do research, you're going to discuss women's rights in the workplace and stuff like that. Not a concept I was familiar with from a practical perspective. Did a research, did the radio interview. It was so great, right? And I left it, right?
You did say that when you are given something, you will push to produce.
Yeah.
a 2 out of 10. As long as you don't come back with an empty with an empty sheet of paper, you're gonna produce. So well done.
So I do that, and then when I look at all the pieces right now, when they come together, I get done with my articles. I don't get returned. Then now I have to look for a job. I was fortunate enough, like I've never been unemployed. I just haven't been it hasn't always been the case that I'm employed in my personal field. But I've always had a job because now I don't have a career ego. If you say let's mop floors right now,
we're gonna do it.
floors. If I can even braid hair, I just don't do it because it takes forever. I will braid hair.
Do it. Yeah.
I've been in retail. I've done call center. I've done waitressing, but I left quickly. I've done promotions. Like I can do anything, right? So okay, all of that happens, and then I don't get returned. Then I'm thinking I'm interviewing, and when I interview, the position is a labor specialist. And when I think about it, I'm like, labor.
How did I get here?
Mind you, I've got a master's in banking law. So I'm looking at myself as a corporate Betty. I'm not thinking labor-related stuff. I'm not thinking serving, giving back, and working for a corporation that's more on serving the previously disadvantaged people, right?
Yes.
So, and then I interview labor. I go there. Don't give me an opportunity. Don't give me an interview, guys, because you'll be forced to hire me. I'm just that girl, right? So I go there. That. I do enough research, and my interviewers are actually sold. They're like, okay, the job is yours. They first say, we want you to start in March. I go to my bosses. I'm like, guys, can you condone me? They're like, yes. The next day, they're like,
when
no.
were your articles finishing?
April.
Okay.
Then I have to start on the 1st of March. Go to my bosses. First, they agree. Then they're like, no. Then I go back to my prospective employer. I'm like, unfortunately,
I need to finish my articles.
Yeah, I need to finish my articles. And it's like, now you're putting me in on a hard rock and a rock or whatever the case may be. I'm like, well, unfortunate. Then she's like, unfortunate, there's nothing I can do. And then, one thing about me, I'll pray on things, hey?
Yeah.
And then I prayed about it. I'm like, God, you said I should educate people on employment. You said I should start Employment Wednesdays. You've always taught me to serve, and you've said I shall not lack. This can be my season of lacking. That lady called me back and said, start at your convenience.
Sure.
Literally. Then I started my job. I've been doing a labor I've been a labor specialist. I specialize in UIF, employment rights, review employment contracts, and etc. And I work from home, and it's been great.
Employment Wednesday.
Yes.
So your life is just centered around employment.
Yes,
I love
employment.
that.
And I didn't realize it. Like, do you realize how God has left me so many signals? And now I'm just swerving my own way, but God keeps on, and I think
you'll always just find your way back.
Yesterday I literally had a full circle aha moment. I was like, this is it. This is the greater purpose. I can't keep on running. I can't keep on swerving. Because even when I got my job, I wanted to leave so badly. I was looking to go into banks. I've got the most complex
banking
masters.
law.
Yes. I was looking at that. But I remember one time God was like, have you learned? What is it that you've gotten from this job that you want to leave so badly? What are you going to offer to the world? What is it that you've taken from
right
this?
now.
Yeah, you don't know anything. You're an amateur.
Sure.
And like it was so rude that I was like, hey, man, why am I getting it wrong? But yeah, I'm settled. I'm happy with my job now. And I don't know, I'm a person, like one of the things that Garabo asked me, he's like, what happens when you get bored with us at Rams? I'm like, no, there's many things. I usually get bored with stuff. So I tend to want new challenges because I'm able to learn quickly. And my worst trait is that when I've learned, I'm uninterested.
Starts boring you.
It starts boring. I want the next thing.
What work are you doing on that? Because you do understand that obviously some seasons just require you to be in the boredom because there's something like I get it. We're not gonna. Yeah. I'm just saying, are you interested in finding out what leads to that and how you can also just sometimes be rooted in that season for whatever reason?
Right what I'm doing, I've been reading a lot of books, and for some odd reason, the books that I've been reading, whether spiritual, business, or whatever, the books have been saying expertise. So one of the things I've realized right now in current economy or current state we live in, it's important to diversify, but there must be something people know you about. I remember this one time when you said to me, when I was talking about the podcast and differentiating the podcast, and you're like, no,
we already know you for Employment Wednesdays.
You can't do that. So I realized that I need to play my part in trying to specialize or expertise in one thing. Yes, I can know many other things, diversify, learn things, but I want to be that girl whereby they say, you know what, Yvonne is not here as a labor specialist. The party must hold on because I'm that great. I'm that excellent. So I think that's forcing me to stay longer. And I think one of the things that I'm learning as time goes on with the nature of my job, I'm realizing how many marginalized people, particularly Black people and women, we are so far back, that there's a huge, every time I talk to certain clients, I feel so sad because I'm like, there's still a long way to go in South Africa.
We still have a lot to learn.
Yes.
We still have a lot to teach.
Yes. When you look at the illiteracy rate, like you're just like, people still can't read.
And people
still can't
also
write.
just don't, for example, in your space, people really honestly just don't know that there is recourse for a situation where you are unfairly dismissed, or where there was an element of sexual harassment. Women just don't know this stuff. So
people are not as informed. Then I realized one of the things that has been trolling me as well to stay longer and to learn better and excel is that I judge people that don't talk based on experience. So like I'm likely to, I can listen to you because I know like you started sister-in-law from ground. I know it's been around for 5 years. But a person who just comes and they blow up and, they tell us they're doing so well, they're an executive within 1 year, they bore me. So I realized that for me also to be heard or to cater for a person like me, I need to have some type of excellence. I need to have some type of track
something
record.
you're known for.
Yes, something you're known for and something you've stayed. Also, you can't know enough if you don't stay long enough.
Absolutely.
10,000
hours, 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
But Yvonne, I know we're going to speak forever, so we are going to leave it at that. Okay. Thank you so much. I know you are, a regular feature on the Sister-in-Law platform. I know we'll be seeing so much more of you. And I do want to wish you the best for, your journey in Employment Wednesdays. Well done for staying the course. Well done for just birthing the platform that is really just empowering the youth through helping them and teaching them the skills, the technical and the soft skills that they need to gain employment. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I was a bit nervous.
Nervous?
Like, I get nervous every time I have to be in front of a camera.
Which is all the time. You are always in... Please. Guys, Yvonne Princess Shabangu, thank you so much for joining us. You at home, I hope you've learned something from Yvonne. And if you're new, I hope this episode was enough to convince you to subscribe. If you're not convinced, subscribe anyway. Catch up on all the previous episodes. Stay around. I promise you I've got exciting content coming your way. Like and comment and obviously share with all of your friends. Bye.